Welcome to the swamp, where we are zooming through various fairy portals in our efforts to find our way back to our supposedly dead world. But hey, what can you say? Nightingale has been on my radar for a long time, and it's finally now in early access, so let's see what it's all about. My name is Excalligator. I rate games based on many categories that would fit into most survival games, based on a 1 to 5 system. If a category does not apply, it will not affect the game's overall score. Now let us get started. Nightingale is a game that is visually more of a Victorian steampunk era, but with the power of magic behind most of the systems at play, one of which being the portal system that you can jump through by creating magic cards, as well as gathering them and mixing them to alter the lands. Your goal is to eventually find and make your way back to the city of Nightingale, all while avoiding the bound enemies within the Feylands. This game requires an above-average build, though a lot of the issues that plague this game seem to be from its always online mode, but we'll talk about that later. The character creation is fucking terrible. There, I said it. Every single facial option looks the exact same and they are all ugly. There is a point in the system where it wants you to pick out a family line with the preset characters, which as of right now, I don't really see anything that it does. It has absolutely nothing to do with anything, so it's useless and annoying. It does let you choose between how you wish to start the game, be it easy or hard. If you wanted to start your adventure as an officer or an engineer, which affects what kind of equipment you would bring into the world when you first start out. It also determines the type of gear and clothing you would wear, though in the end it really doesn't matter besides getting your starting gear, so this section is going to be a 2 out of 5. I did like the choices on how you can start the game, but most of them really did nothing in a noticeable way, that is, and the character creation is very lackluster. So the game starts off rather lengthy with an unskippable tutorial that you must go through 4 small realms by yourself. It forces you to learn the basics of the game before you can even go off on your own. While one of the main characters known as Puck is introducing you to the Feylands with some lovely voice lines. Puck is based off of the character Puck from A Midsummer's Night Dream, who is also referenced in other media formats as a whimsical yet mischievous character. You can also pick up those characteristics as he talks to you, which makes you as the player not want to take what he says at face value. Though once you're done with the tutorial, you get the option on where to set up your home, the forest, the desert, or the swamp. The forest obviously being the easiest option with the abundance of resources. The desert is a little bit harder but has a ton of ore and rocks. And the swamp, which has a ton of things that want to kill you, including the water. I think I'm going to give this section a 3.5 out of 5. I like the voice lines and the way it taught you how to play the game. What I didn't like is the fact that you were locked into the solo instance that you cannot escape from until you finish. Look at it drains a lot of stamina though. The exploration has a lot of positives and negatives. Let's start out with the positives. First thing, your home realm. It will not have as many points of interest as other realms, but they will have many dungeons that you can unlock as you progress to unlock cards that will allow you to teleport to stronger realms, which all ties into the same progression cycle. So you will have a merchant, a quest giver, a main portal, and a form of altering the realm to allow for bonuses and defects using the various cards you can find or make. I'm not quite sure if the realms are procedurally generated for different players, but once you unlock a type of realm, if you play the same cards again later on, you can revisit the exact same one that you unlocked before. As of right now, there are only 3 biomes, being forest, desert, and swamp, with the various variations of those. Also from there are level ranges based on the attribute card that you place with the biome card, such as the herbarium or the gloom card. These cards give the realm a level range for the creatures that live in it, which I'll explain more in the PvE section. But once you set up your biome and your attribute, you can go through the portal you had created and explore at your leisure. The realms will consist of the following content. You will always have at least one merchant. You will always have at least one main portal. You will have a Fae Tower, which will unlock the various locations on your map. There's going to be enemy camps to clear out, survivors needing aid to either build a home or defend their base, jumping puzzles, pattern solving puzzles, and by doing these various activities in the locations on the maps, you are rewarded with essence points, which are used to buy and upgrade items. And the last thing is that you can find a lot of just random items laying around ruins and camps, tons of resources or usable items. You could find treasure chests and so much more. I always love being able to find something interesting and pick it up. Though now for the cons of this section. As I said before, you pretty much find the exact same things in each realm, which makes it predictable. You hop into the realm, you go straight to the Fae Tower to unlock the map locations, and then just circle around and do everything. The animals of the locations are also to be desired. When you think of a game of magical realms that can change all these different factors of these areas that you visit, I'm expecting way more types of whimsical creatures to lurk around, but it seems to always be the exact same creatures every time, just with different color variations. Out of the 4 forest biomes that I've went to, all of them had wolves, all of them had boars, and deer. They were just, different color. That's not fun or exciting to me. Worse off, there is no dynamic spawning. Creatures spawn in the same spot every single time, though sometimes they do have a long leash that makes it feel like they're kind of wandering around, but not always. Another thing to mention is that, while this is more neutral in my stance, the fact that most resources like trees and minerals do not respawn, and this is what forces you to realm hop a lot to keep gathering your supplies. Now, there are ways to force respawn, particularly in the forest with the wandering forest spirit, who will stop occasionally and respawn everything in a nearby location from where he is, including dead creatures. So watch out, as if you had just killed a wolf pack in front of him, he'll walk over and respawn him. Though considering he knocks down every single tree and rock in his path, you could just follow him for 15 minutes and get hundreds and hundreds of lumber without even doing anything. Overall, this section is going to be a 2 out of 5. It's neat at first, but after a few realm hops, you've seen it, done that, and it kind of gets boring. There's some cards in here. Oh my god! What was that? I'm fucking looting the fucking chest and the guy spawned right behind me. I turned around and he was right on my face. What is that? Get him, July. The survival is interesting to say the least. You have a hunger bar as well as a sleep bar. You can last quite a while without either, so you don't always have the need to sleep or eat. By not doing either though, you will be debuffed. By not eating, it will cause your overall health to be reduced and then soon drain, while sleeping affects your stamina pool and your regeneration. The power scaling of the realms seemed to be fairly fine. We rarely were outmatched by enemies, and even when we did face off stronger enemies, we could still defeat them. While I could have mentioned this in the exploration section, there is a weather system in most of the biomes where it can rain, which causes you to get a stamina regeneration debuff, unless you have out an umbrella or go and hide underneath a building to keep dry. With that said, when it rains, there is always a high chance for it to hail. When it hails and you are exposed without an umbrella or a roof, you will take damage. And finally, when you die, you will keep your gear that is equipped, but you will will drop your inventory of resources, so you will have to go back and pick it up. Now, I actually found that dying is pretty rare to happen, as you will have NPC companions in the game who can pick you back up instantly if you fall. For now, I'm gonna give this survival a 4 out of 5. It's serviceable and decent in most aspects. The building is fairly standard to other survival games. This time you are allowed to build a blueprint first before you set down your items, but one change to other games that do this is that when you place the items, it tells you how much you need of each item total to complete your whole set. And as you place the items, it goes toward the whole house and not just one piece at a time, which is a neat little quality of life. Your companions can also help place items into your house if they have it in their inventory. You also start off with stone pieces instead of being a separate tier unlocked later on, so you can choose between wood or stone or both, like I did, while you can unlock other building pieces later on. The crafting is a bit weak right now. While most of it is fairly standard of various workbenches to make different items, in order to make certain items, particularly in higher grade, it requires you to make an item in order to make the item desired. Did that sound a bit repetitive? Because it is. And you have to do this a lot with many various items, which makes you run back and forth in your workshop between several of the workbenches just to make a single item. I know it's sounding repetitive again, but this is how the crafting is like in this game, and I don't like this. It would be one thing if it was to craft a very good endgame item, but this is for basic tier 1 items too. As of right now, you cannot draw from chests for crafting, even though that is planned later on in the future updates. But it's something I find very annoying to have various types of items with various types of quality that don't really seem to do much. For example, you have basic prey leather, then you have tier 1 prey leather, tier 2 prey leather, on top of the predator leather, and so on. All of that I just said, and I barely even touched all the different types of leather, just leather alone, on top of the gems and the ore, which fills up your chest a lot, and it makes storage pretty much terrible in this game. Supposedly the higher grade items you use would make a overall better item that you craft with it, but I barely noticed any change in numbers when I did do that. And the majority of crafted items are all resources themselves, which don't really require any grade in particular. So you don't really have to farm higher grade leveled items, you could just use the basic grade items. Now with the companions, you can have one follow you at a time. You can outfit them and have them help you farm up items like ore and lumber. They don't always seem to work though, even with the appropriate item equipped, like the appropriate type pickaxe and so on. And even then, there are many times these guys will just, stand around and then eventually realize there's stuff nearby to go gather. But if you move at all, they think you're leaving, so they'll stop doing what they're doing to go and follow you. So they're not the most reliable for gathering for you, but they do make great mules to haul all of your junk. And lastly, the farming. The farming sucks and it is not worth it. Supposedly you plant seeds, water them, they grow, and in a few moments, you can harvest them. However, while it takes 5 plants to make 1 seed, you only get 1 plant back from that seed. So it's a net loss in your resources. And it is clearly a bug as of right now because the farming is not working as intended, but there is no saying when it will be fixed. So I'm going to give this whole section a 3 out of 5. A lot of issues plague it. There are some good things about the building system, but really it's just kind of meh overall. Oh Lord, he coming. Oh my god, he teleports.
Yes, I figured that out. Ow. Okay.
Why am I losing a lot of frames?
Because every time he teleports, it gives a massive, particle effect. Ow.
The PvE is basic right now. You don't start off with guns and have to fight your way with harvesting tools, which do a decent amount of damage. Eventually you move on to a type of slingshot crossbow, which does a lot of damage, but I hate the manual reload that you have to do with it, and how slow it is. It really wasn't worth it to use it unless I needed to hit something high up. Though moving over to the pistol, it became much easier to fight with ranged weapons, the bigger and better the guns you unlock are. The animal creatures you find are pretty easy to fight. If you do find a larger beast like an elephant or a bear, they will hit harder obviously, but a lot slower, so they are manageable. The bound enemies, however, are the more humanoid ones, in appearance, and they have a lot of variety in the types of creatures you fight. They start off all the same, but soon you find some that spit fire, others that throw bombs, as well as brutes with large swords that fight similar to the Dark Knights in Zelda Twilight Princess, where at half health, they forgo their slow sword so they can have speed in their attacks, which is cool to see. You can also find various combat areas in the world to find and defeat enemies, from enemy camps to small caves and lesser fairy portals, which are kind of like dungeons, and there are also the larger dungeons in the homeworld where you build your base. The dungeons that are near your base, I do have one issue though with the dungeons. Every single boss of these dungeons are always the same. They are always large automatons, so it becomes again predictable and boring. Now then, the progression of the game is tied to gear score, and like that, I could hear the cries of every 2009 World of Warcraft player. As you gear up, you will see your item has an item level. Your overall player level is an average of all of these item levels that you are equipped with. You can upgrade each item one time, which will get you close to the next tier of levels to help you with any power disbalance as you move along the levels of enemies. But the next tier of items will always be stronger, so it is worth making them and upgrading when you can. Now, there is a very good overlap, I would say about 20 levels or so. As a level 50, you can easily kill a level 70, but any higher than that will become a major challenge, though not impossible. Myself and my friend accidentally defeated a dungeon we were not even supposed to go to yet, as it was much higher level than us, but we managed to get around the barrier door that, locks you out until you're ready, and then we went all the way to the top and defeated the boss at the end, though not without some difficulty and the possibility of falling off the large tower, maybe once or twice. Though with that, I am going to rate this section a 4 out of 5. The humanoid creatures do give it that bit of difficulty as you progress and get that variation, but the creatures themselves in terms of the beasts are always the same, and the boss battles of the various dungeons are again always the same between all of the realms, so it gets again repetitive and boring. The story delivery is showcased in a few ways. The primary character you have contact with would be Puck. Puck is fully voice acted and written in a way that he is straight out of a Shakespeare play. Meanwhile, the other characters you can find are not voice acted, and you will have to read their dialogue. From there, between the many characters, there are times you can choose to ask about various situations, similar to a typical RPG, though there are no choices in branching out your story or anything that seems like could be an alternate ending for a quest or a dialogue. If you do find a bit of variation, it only really results in the difference of the direct reply to the NPC before continuing on with the rest of the normal conversation. There is a quest tracker which tracks your progress as well as reminding you of where you need to go next. Overall, I think the story delivery right now is going to be a 4 out of 5. There definitely can be more added, such as more voice lines, other NPCs, as well as more dynamic events, as there are so few that you can come across. Though for a survival game, it has more story involvement than most, which is why I rated it high. However, we will be skipping the story written section as the game is still unfinished, so I do not wish to rate the story itself based on what little we have available. Right now, the progression loop is the exact same and gets a bit repetitive, especially at the end game. Now, I'm positive that many things will change from now till the full launch. This is a wait and see, so for now, I am not going to rate how the end game currently is. I just...
Chest.
Uh-oh. I am, kind of falling through the world a little bit here.
No, not good.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I see.
I don't think we're supposed to be up on here.
Well, there's a chest up there, so...
I...
My mix?
Hang on, I'm kind of stuck. Let me see if I can build up my way out. I would say there are definitely bugs and issues that I faced. I think the major issue is the fact that you always have to play online, which is odd, as even though you are playing online, you will never come across another player unless invited to their server or vice versa. It's basically like playing a solo game with co-op. So being locked into basically an always online server has led to a lot of lag issues and rubber banding from the server side that myself as well as my friend has faced. Luckily, we didn't get any disconnects. Another issue I had was with one of the quests. One of them required that I shoot enemies in the heart or in the head in order to prove I am ready for an upgraded gun. The headshots were easy, though the heart shots not so much, as I couldn't tell if I had to be dead on the heart or not, because no matter how many times I shot the enemy in the chest, it just didn't count, so I never got to finish the quest. We also had issues with taking damage from trees that spazzed out after cutting them. You can take damage from fallen trees just like in Valheim, but what I'm talking about is it would try to fall one way, kind of spaz out, and even though you're on the other side of the tree, you would still take damage. Another tree bug I saw is that it would, lose all of its health after your follower had gotten done chopping it down. It would play the destroyed animation, however, the tree itself would not fall. Speaking of followers, while they do help some of the time, most of the time they don't really do much. They are best for fighting and reviving you, as well as carrying your gathered items, but when it comes to harvesting, they will stand around and not really do much. I think they need better AI or just needs adjusting in that regard. So I'm going to give this section a 2.5 out of 5. It's really not the worst thing in the world. I was still able to play the game, but it can be enough to bother some players, especially with the limitations of always being online and the issues that it brings. My overall score for Nightingale is going to be a 3.3 out of 5. It's an overall solid foundation with a neat style and gameplay. However, there are some issues that plague the progression loop, as well as the various bugs and issues that are caused from the online nature of the game. Though that part doesn't worry me, as the devs have stated that they do plan on adding an offline mode soon. I am interested to see what changes and fixes are going to be between now and the full launch. So until then, I'll see you next time. And that is the end of this video. If you liked my review, please subscribe to this channel, as I will be making more in-depth reviews of open-world sandbox survival RPG games, including those that no one ever talks about from the deepest, darkest depths of Steam. Some games that even look like the muck at the bottom of my pond. If you have any suggestions for what game to do next, please comment below and like this video. Florida Gator Man out.